to the Bomb Hole.
Bomb Hole Podcast.
It's going to be very hot. It's going to be very uncomfortable for everybody.
The Bomb Hole.
I'm gonna slide down them big hills, you know what I mean, on the big, nice burgundy snowboard.
Okay, here we go again, back in the booth for the Bomb Hole. Now, the Bomb Hole is presented by Solomon Snowboards, Pub Beer, and Wild Mike's Ultimate Pizza. Now, Stony Buds, how are we doing today?
Doing so good, dog.
Love hearing that. Every time I hear you say it, I love it. Now, today's guest, we have Hana Beaman. If you're unfamiliar with who she is, what she's accomplished in snowboarding, she's a 3 times X Games medalist. She's won Women's Rider of the Year, U.S. Open champ. She's won it all. She's done it all. Hana, how are we doing?
I'm so good.
Love hearing that. Now, obviously you've done a lot, but I want to talk about something that's a lot more, maybe more interesting to me, and that would be this new karaoke mic that you've been bringing into the backcountry with you.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty fun. I think it's become my new therapy through all the COVID stuff. It's like everyone's finding different ways to deal, and I think having that microphone has become an outlet. So it's like, I don't know, I just bring it up with me random days, and I'll be like, you know what, this deserves a song. Just kind of give it a little belt out up on the mountaintop or cruising through the park or some shit like that.
I've seen you on the peak of a mountain just singing. What kind of songs you throw out up there?
The worst songs.
The worst songs?
Yeah, like I have a karaoke list for sure. And I'm like, okay, what do I pick on for the moment? Like I think I got some Celine Dion on there.
Oh, geez.
Like kind of bad songs, but like good bad songs.
Do you put people on the spot too and get them singing? Or?
I try to bring people in. Yeah.
Some people love karaoke.
It's so fun. I used to hate karaoke. I was like terrified. Like we'd be partying in Mammoth at like Lockanookie or wherever, and I'd be like, oh man, I want karaoke, but I would hate getting up in front of people. And every once in a while you get like hammered enough, you get up there and you're like, yeah, that was sweet.
People can really shine if you get your song dialed and know what's up.
I'm definitely not like the professional singer though. I'm like, I know I'm not good,
but
I don't care.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Chris, you got a karaoke song you throw out?
Honestly, I pretty much bomb all of them.
I get on and I just freestyle.
You do? Really?
That's awesome.
I can't follow I don't know.
If you're unfamiliar, Buds has like like he turns into like a Rastafarian guy. Like he does reggae voice.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah.
I
like
can't
it.
stay with the karaoke song though. I always just end up breaking out into my own.
I like ad-libbing too.
Yeah.
I feel
Ad-libbing's the way to go.
Because if I mess up, I'm like, oh, I just got to keep going somehow.
So what spawned the initial karaoke mic? What made you be like, all right, I'm bringing this thing with me everywhere?
You can only carry so much in your backcountry pack.
Yeah, you got to be selective.
It's like water, or am I bringing the microphone?
I won't bring it out with me on like certain days.
Yeah.
But like when we're just out touring around Baker or whatever, it's like perfect. It makes like subpar days that much better.
That much better, huh?
Yeah. Like on like killer days, I probably won't have it. But when you're out there just touring around, you're like, this run's kind of whatever.
Like
way better if you're singing.
Yeah, I violently tomahawked on that back 7, but it's all right. I also belted out some Celine Dion. We're back.
Yeah. Oh man.
So it's like if you're going out, if it's let's say you're going out and you're preparing your avalanche, your gear and everything. If you had to take avalanche beacon or karaoke mic, which are you putting more importance on?
Avalanche beacon by like a hair.
Depends on the day, probably though.
Yeah, what's the avalanche danger rating at that day? Karaoke's in the green to like warm yellow.
All right. Well, I heard an interesting fact that I know that you're originally from Big Bear, and is this true that you got your first board from Tom Sims?
Yeah, that is true, but it wasn't in Big Bear. It was I was born in Santa Barbara, and we lived up in like the hippie hills in Santa Barbara, and Tom Sims was a neighbor of ours up there. And I think my parents knew him from then, but then when we moved to Big Bear when I was like 2, I think they somehow, he was prototyping like a kid's board, and he was like, he sent one to us for me to try. So when I was like 6 is when I think they sent like a kid's prototype board. And
so your parents were in with Tom?
I mean, not a ton. Like they weren't like homies, but it's like somehow I never really got the full story on that in that little neighborhood in Santa Barbara. You know, like my dad was into surfing and skating and stuff like that, and I think they were just a bunch of hippies living in the hills in Santa Barbara. So I think they just kind of all knew each other somehow. And it was I barely remember snowboarding. Like it was on my ski boots with plate bindings because like there's no kids stuff back then. So
What are plate bindings, like the metal?
yeah, that you
Gotcha.
like clip your ski boots into.
Ski boots into. I remember
Yeah.
those. Okay.
It was I have like flashes of it, and I'm like, I remember being like so like bummed learning how to like toe edge.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I remember that sucking. But
Because you're already good at skiing, probably as a little kid, I imagine. Huh?
I mean, I'd been skiing for probably, I started skiing when I was like 2 when
Yeah.
I first moved to Big Bear, so I had a few years skiing under my belt. And my mom's got a snowboard. I want to say it was like a Look snowboard or something like that. At first, she worked at the mountain. Like both my parents worked at the mountain at Snow Summit and Bear at some point. And just being in like the marketing circles, I think people would come in and have snowboards, and they were like, "Oh yeah," I think she got
Those
a snowboard
early
and she tried it
looks-
first. Yeah,
Those early looks had an insane cool shape, too. I don't know if you remember, but they had like that big nose and the
Yeah.
square tail.
kind of torpedo-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were kind of dope for the time, though.
Yeah.
So your mom knew what she was doing.
My mom's usually ahead of the trends. She's the
Sounds
one that like puts me on stuff. She's cooler than I am, for sure.
One thing you said earlier, and I've heard this from everybody I've talked to, is that your parents were mega hippies. Now, what role did that have in your growing up?
I don't think they were mega hippies. I mean, they were definitely cute hippies.
Cute hippies. Okay.
I feel like when I was born, they were living in Santa Barbara. Like I think my dad had built this like teeny little adobe brick house up in the woods. We had
Sounds pretty
an
hip.
outside
Actually,
shower.
that's kind of mega
but
hippie.
not like
dude.
dirty hippie,
Oh, okay.
Like they were
Okay.
cute. They were like
Cute hippie
They
copy.
were hipsters hippie. But they were doing their thing, and I feel like my dad did. He was a photographer, and he did graphic design for I might mess this up. It was either Sierra West or Sierra Designs, one of those like older backpacking companies. So it's like. And my mom did some modeling, and they would like go hike out into the mountains and take catalog shots and be hiking under a full moon, like camping out and stuff. Some awesome old photos of them.
Really? So your
doing
mom
that.
was a cute hippie then if she was a model?
She's a babe.
Yeah.
I
She's
think.
a babe?
Let's give her.
Yeah,
should we
she's
give her an
still a
air
babe.
horn? Let's
Yeah,
give her.
give her an air horn. Dad was a babe. Mom was a babe. It's like I think people that know me, they know I have like it's like not a poster, but it's a photo of my mom in like this like white leather, like kind of buckskin bikini with like her hair all frizzed up, and she's got like a bow and arrow, like sitting on like or standing on like the shore of some body of water, and I'm just like that's like prime time on my bedroom wall. Well, that's my mom. Like
That sounds like a
Amazon
badass
woman.
photo.
Like, it's awesome. And everyone's like, "Is that a photo of you up there?" I'm all, "No. What if I have a photo of myself up there?" I'm like, "That's my mom."
That's pretty tight.
She
Yeah.
sounds like a complete G. Now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
going back, I also got some type of note here from Pat Bridges, something about a ski tote catalog at a young age.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Can you explain and decipher that?
So, how old was I? Probably around like 5 or 6 or something like that. Don't ask me how. Like my mom did some, modeling back in the day, and then working in Summit, somehow connected with the ski tote people. We went and did like a photo shoot for ski tote. So
What is ski tote? Just to be.
It
ski
sounds
tote
familiar.
is this is gonna be an old head thing. if you are old enough, you would remember this like contraption that basically clamshells around your skis and your poles and has a handle, and you can carry your skis and poles to the mountain because it's really hard to carry all that stuff. You see people all
Yeah,
like,
kept it all together. I know
whenever.
what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
so it was like that was this device that we did this shoot for, and it was like with these cute dogs and all like fake snow on like a fake chairlift and stuff like that. But funny enough, as I'm sure Pat can appreciate, is Triva. Oh God, what's Trevor's?
Trevor Jacobs.
Trevor Jacobs. God, I haven't thought about Trevor for a while. But his dad owned Ski Tote. And so
Oh,
it was just
wow.
funny, like weird little circles, right? So
I did not know
What kind
that
of cheddar
his dad owned
biscuits
that.
we talking on the ski tote?
I have no idea. We probably got like a couple free ski totes.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I'd have to ask my mom.
Was it in a
about that.
studio with like fake snow and everything?
Yeah,
That's
and they would
crazy.
put cream cheese on the handle of the ski tote for the dogs to like be licking it, so it looked like the dog was carrying the ski tote for you. It
Pro
was
tip.
my parents still have those at their house, like photos up. I'll send you guys a clip.
I wonder what happened to ski tote. Just didn't make the cut. People figured out they could carry them.
Dude,
Yeah.
on hand.
honestly,
we got smart.
You go split boarding though, and it's you're carrying 4x as many, like 4 times as many things as a snowboard.
Maybe
I got
we
the
need to
poles and the freaking
recreate.
thing. I almost want a ski tote.
You could maybe we should get them
Yeah,
to
maybe this is
remake it for
time.
split boards.
Split board
The
ski
time
tote.
is now.
Split tote.
Okay, so moving forward here, you start snowboarding and then you start kicking ass. Give us the kind of formative years, what those look like.
I guess so. I started when I was 6, and then fast forward, I'm skiing, I'm snowboarding, I'm doing a lot of stuff, and then kind of got more into snowboarding, but then was kind of bored. I was oblivious to what was going on in snowboarding. Like the first and probably only snowboard movie I saw was like Sims Team's movie called Snow Days, which I think
remember that
Todd
one.
just referenced that, and I was like, that's like what I knew of snowboarding for years. And then I got kind of more into ski racing with like a couple of friends in school. We're doing ski racing, so I did that, and that was exciting for like 2 years. And then that got boring real quick, so I went back to snowboarding and started just going and shredding around like Summit by myself and meeting people, and eventually met like an awesome crew of people just randomly from around Snow Summit. Like my girlfriends from high school and I would go up there and just be shredding around, and ended up getting this really cool crew of people that definitely influenced like what I thought was cool in snowboarding and all that stuff. And like met Pat Allen from Black Flies. He had like a little shop going, Real Deal, at the bottom of the hill, and he was the one who actually gave me Decade to watch. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll watch this. Like, 16-year-old girl just like, oh, okay, sweet. And I watched that, and that was just like,
Nice.
I was like, what have I been missing this whole time? And that fully, like, that made me want to be a professional snowboarder for sure. And I was like, I could do this. I could do a back 3. I could do this, like board slides. Mom, I want to live this life. And it's like we were just ripping around Summit, just having a great time. It's like we'd see the Formative cruise through, and it'd be like, oh my God, let's follow them and watch what they're doing, full creepers. Like it was just awesome. Like you couldn't ask for a better place to grow up.
But you're in the right spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that's such an interesting thing to hear. I love kind of preserving the culture of snowboarding in some aspects, a little bit of a nerd, but the effects of those early videos, everybody that sat in that chair, they have that one like click moment where for me it was technical difficulties, for you it's Decade, but you're like, yep, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Like just something just captures you, and you're just like, that's what I need to do.
Okay.
What's going to happen with kids today?
Maybe it's on IG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one edit. Is one edit enough to capture you in, though? That's...
I don't know. It's definitely different.
Yeah, it's
I feel
just different.
Like back then, I feel like it was this whole other thing. Like snowboarding at the mountain was one thing, but then it was like the whole scene of like the premieres and going to see the premieres at Spreckles Theater was like such a cool thing.
Yeah.
Like, being able to like, luckily I was close enough, like living in Big Bear, that it's like we could go down to San Diego for the trade show and be like, oh, we snuck into the trade show. And like you could like see all these things. And I feel like that was such a like special, like it just created this like buzz and energy and like this whole like, oh, excitement for the season that I feel like just doesn't get recreated anymore.
Yeah, interesting thing to talk about. I feel like maybe not in our circle, but I think there's still people jacked up
I hope
out
so.
there. I see people out there doing it. But to moving along here, that kind of brings us to our breakout moment. Now the breakout moment is presented by our friends over at 10 Barrel and Pub Beer. Pub Beer supports us. You should support them. Their tagline is cheap, fun beer. Now, Hana, before snowboarding became a serious career, back when it was cheap and fun, did you have a memorable breakout moment that kind of put you on the map?
Yes. I would say my breakout moment was definitely at Snowboarder Mag's Super Park in Mammoth in spring of 2001. I was pretty much wearing like thrift store gear with like an old board and just like coming down from Tahoe and hanging out with like the Grenade guys, and they kind of got me in, not snuck me in, but got me into Super Park, and I was just so stoked and just shrouping, like just going like all day long, like yeah, hit that, like no gloves, you know. And that's kind of where I think I caught some eyes and got a couple contracts, and then it was just like phew, took off from there. So fully credit Super Park.
Let's give Super Park a little air horn. Now, back then, there was not nearly as many females in snowboarding. Who were those early influences?
For sure, Tara. She was she was like the one to look at, right? Like she was the poster girl. Tina Bassage.
Such a G.
Yeah, super G. I actually remember like Sky Rondinay and Morgan Lafont. Like not, I wouldn't see them in real life or in video projects more, but I would see them in the mags. Like those are the chicks I was seeing in the mags, and I was just like, that's awesome. And Barrett, you know, Barrett Christie. But for some reason, it was just like Tara. Tara was like front and center, like the shining beacon of what you had to be for like a female snowboarder.
Definitely ahead of her time at that. She was absolutely ripping.
Yeah.
Now, I heard that you, around this time, I don't know if it was before or after this Super Park moment you're talking about, but you went to college at Sierra Nevada, correct?
I did. There was a couple years where I was doing USASA and stuff in high school, and I was like, I know this is what I want to do, like, but I had some like rep deals, and that was sweet. Was doing good, had won like junior nationals, slopestyle, whatever, but it wasn't quite clicking. So I was like, well, gonna go to college. You know, went to college up in Incline Village in Tahoe, and went to Sierra Nevada College, which, funny enough, Jeff Pansiero's daughter just got accepted into there, so she's gonna be there. So
Nice.
we're Eagles, the Sheagles.
Is that what that's called?
I don't know, but they're the Eagles.
Yeah.
But he called me the other day. He's like, "Oh, Estelle's going to Sierra Nevada College."
Let's
So
go.
did you
Stella and
graduate?
Jeff. We got to give
No.
him a quick air horn. I'm sorry. I got to sub in that one.
Yeah. But I did not graduate.
No.
I went.
She's a dropout.
I'm a full dropout. I went for a year, and I lovingly refer to my year in college as like Camp SNC, because it was like way more snowboarding and partying than any like studying in school. So
Nice.
it was like, and funny enough, it's like I connected with Kevin Casillo at college. He went there too. And I knew him from junior nationals when I met like Lane and Danny and Clancy and a bunch of the Grenade guys. Reconnected with Kevin at college. And that's why I pretty much started going to Mammoth. Like Kevin and I would go down there and sleep in our cars or whatever, like go meet up with those guys and just go shred. So I spent a lot more time snowboarding than
Did you pick out that
studying.
school just so you could snowboard?
Pretty much, yeah.
Because I remember when I was looking at colleges, never made it. But you just looked at the small list of colleges that were at ski resorts, and they were like, all right,
Yeah.
let's maybe one of these places.
Yeah.
I ended up not going, but I looked at that college.
It was-
Same.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
You like look at the small list, and it's only because of snowboarding.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, it's not that hard to get into.
Yeah.
It's like you can study ski business, living in Tahoe.
Exactly, right?
Close
Or
to
up
home.
one of the spots in Colorado, and
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah, that place was great.
So that almost seems like a Gremlins kind of like Tahoe. You go there for a minute, and next thing you know, you're there for
Yeah, you're
years.
there.
So to pivot and talk about this Mammoth situation, at that time, Mammoth was kind of the happening place. You got Danny Kass and the whole Grenade crew just putting a beat down on the park. You got Matt Hammer, all those people, and you kind of immersed yourself within the Grenade crew.
Mm-hmm.
Now it seemed like you were the only female in that crew. Can you paint a picture of like what that scene was like back then? And
Yeah, it was. I don't think I had any idea what I was getting into, but it was it was awesome starting there. I kind of like I said, I had met them at junior nationals, and you know, you're like 16 partying at Waterville junior nationals, and you're like, oh, these people are fun, and then you reconnect with them out in Mammoth, and it was just kind of debauchery, like super fun. Like you're just living away from home, released into the wild, like you're partying. You're just shredding around Mammoth, which has got like the best park at the time. There's like mega pros there that you're looking at and being like, what? We just got to shred with Kevin Jones and Matt Hammer's over there. And Tara's like telling us to come hit this mailbox. Like, awesome. And it was kind of, there were other girls around. Like, I had a lot of other girlfriends at the time who were shredding. It wasn't like I was solo, standalone female, like running around. But I was just so lucky to be brought into the fold by Matt Kass. Was just like, yo, we're starting this company. And he's like, I'll get you some gloves. And I just ended up hanging out with all those guys a ton. And they were just a really fun time. Like, we were all just house partying, going to the Mono Street house and skateboarding on the ramp there. Like, just literally, I don't know how we didn't get like more injured or arrested a lot of those days, because it was real loose. And it was so fun. Like, the guys just treated me like one of the dudes. It was rad. It was fun.
Yeah, you guys were straight up, for me looking up to you guys were rock stars. Like, early grenade days.
We felt like rock stars.
I made my own grenade stencil that was all wonky, and I would spray paint it on stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it was incredible, that energy around you guys at that time.
Yeah. And I mean, you were just as much of it as we were. It's like the guys were just cutting stencils and like spray painting t-shirts. Like, one of the first t-shirts I got was just some random Army surplus t-shirt that Matt stenciled some red grenade on. And I was like, sick. Like, up at Hood, like hanging out. Like, they had, I don't think it was a grenade house. It was like everyone was just crashing on like the lib floor or wherever we could. So
Just rolled as a posse.
it was deep. Like, it was deep, and it was awesome. And we did not give a fuck. Like, it was, you felt invincible for sure. And there was definitely nights where I'm all, that could have gone real bad.
I remember seeing like Danny up at Hood when I was a kid, and he'd be like lighting off fireworks and throwing them at people, and
Yeah.
just everybody's getting into trouble. It
Yeah.
was,
What just an amazing cluster of people. Like,
It's true. You're lucky or everyone's lucky no one got in trouble or something wild didn't happen.
yeah, I mean, especially up at Hood, it was like full
Free for all.
different Hood, unrecognizable for what it is today.
Yeah,
It's like
true,
there
right?
was no street lamps. There was just like, yeah, we were lighting off fireworks, throwing them in the Burton house, like just cuckoo.
Basically lawless up there.
Yes, lawlessness.
Now, you had a ton of success in contests after this and stuff like that. Now, you're riding with Danny Kass, Kyle Clancy, Lane Knack, just some like kings at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what effect did riding with those guys have on you?
They definitely would just get me to try different things. Like, I feel like there was always just going out, like jibbing the van in the back of the like woods of Mammoth, or like there was always just something. Like, it was all new, like getting to go out with like Clancy and Leach and Zimmerman out into, like, literally, I look back at now, Molly was like 500 feet off the road in Mammoth, and we built a jump and like got to hit a powder jump. I was like, woo, like so many firsts for me. And a lot of like just camaraderie and support. Like, back at the US Open, it's like I'd have like the guys that be sitting at the bottom of the run with like really weird posters that they made being like, Beaman, like cheering me on. Like, it was just a really cool support group. And it was, encouraging to just try different stuff. And I feel like that was the most fun. Like, that's kind of like, if I'm having fun, I'm doing good and I'm riding good. So it was just kind of lighthearted and just, give it a go.
Get you to win the U.S. Open. And
Yeah, I don't know if I won that year, but
but you've won the Open, and you were saying you won a car, too. Huh?
yeah,
Wish
yeah.
they still would give out cars like that.
I know. That was a golden moment where it
Golden
was like
era.
cars and MacBook Pros and Rolexes and snowmobiles.
Have
and
you won all these
motorcycles.
things?
No,
No, but they've given them out?
No, I was like, I'm stoked I won a Volvo. I still have it. It's on its last leg, probably. It's like 12 years old. But the Volvo, and I won a motorcycle at the Abominable Snow Jam, which is awesome.
I remember watching that contest.
That was
Chado won a Volvo as well.
Yeah,
and
you're
there's a
part
big
of the Volvo Club.
Volvo Club. Yeah.
Love.
So I kind of want to circle back around, and I was just kind of thinking about this and this revolving door of crews in snowboarding is incredible. When you look at, you have like Buzz as part of the Tech 9 crew, and then, now you have the young kids, the Dust Box, there's a Skeleton crew, there's the, there's too many to name. And then, the Grenade crew really was probably one of the best like energies and crews and time periods to ever do it. And I think that's good kind of advice for kids. A lot of people are just with Instagram, I don't need a crew. I can just put shit on my gram by myself. And I think that there's so much strength in that camaraderie and with those crews. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, that creates this like synergy of everyone's feeding off of everybody and, stronger together. It's like you can put off a part and it could be a sick part, but there's something about having that support crew, and it's like, it recreates what we do naturally, just going out and shredding with our friends. Like, I don't like going snowboarding alone. Like, I want to get stoked and go shred with the people I have fun with. And I think that the crew, like, just, that's what that does. And I think people see that and they feed off of that too.
I always call that the Wu Tang Clan business model.
Yes.
And that's kind of what I formed Tech 9 around, was that model, form a sick crew and go all out.
Yeah.
That's the school of Wu right there.
Wow, I'm gonna give you an air horn for that one.
Yeah.
I love that.
That might be my first air horn.
No, you got the super air horn the other
that's
day.
right.
Don't trip.
First one today, anyways.
Well, that's like, the famous quote that comes to mind is like a rising tide raises all boats.
Yes.
Right? It's kind of the same deal with a crew.
Yeah.
Same mentality, and kids should be realizing that these days.
Yeah.
The Dust Box, look what it's done for them.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids actually hit us up figuring out, how can I get involved? It's like, form your own crew
Yeah.
and feed off each other, and
Yeah.
you
But-
all will get better.
But make it like it should just happen
Unique.
organically. Like
Yeah,
you can't
that's
be like,
true.
okay, like got a thing of a crew.
Yeah,
It's
if
like,
you force a crew, it's never going to happen.
yeah, it's like
that's
just
good advice
go
too.
out there and ride with the people to get you stoked and ride and have fun.
It's got to be cool and organic and
Yeah.
natural.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
So moving along here chronologically, you started to have some success, and I'm going to get into a guest question from Lane Knack here. Now, the guest question is presented by Solomon. Solomon makes split boards, and the split board that I ride is the Speedway Split. You can find that at solomonsnowboards.com. They support us. You should support them. I'm not just in the streets. I hit the split every once in a while. Now, let's get into the guest question from Lane Knack. Here we go.
Hey there, Bombhole. Lane Knack here, calling in for Miss Hana Beaman. Hana, you've had quite the career over the last couple decades. Lots of amazing accolades through this career. One that sticks out in my mind the most is the first award you won at the TransWorld Riders Poll Awards back in the good old Vegas days. Do me a favor and take us through that evening. Paint us a picture of winning that award as well as the carnage that followed. Hope all's well. Love you guys.
You formed that question really well.
Yeah. Thank you, Lane. Woof. Okay, that's a big night. So pretty much, Vegas trade show. They used to do the TransWorld Awards, all that stuff. I don't remember how I got there. I think we drove from Mammoth. Just threw something together. Was pretty nervous because I'm pretty sure somebody leaked that I had won. So it's like I'm there, my parents are there. It's, I'm 19, I think still.
Oh,
maybe
wow.
20. And, underage. Getting into the Vegas club. Show up. I'm like super nervous. And my mom, this might incriminate her, but she has she gets a bunch of drinks on the table. I'm like, all right, cool. Start pounding drinks to calm the nerves. And I'm like, all right, this is sweet. We're ready to party. I kind of blur out whatever. They call out the category, call out that I won. I go up on stage. I think Jana Mayan's in a banana suit.
I remember that.
Yeah, she's wasted. It's just total debauchery. But go up there, and I'm pretty sure I was drunk at this point, and I'm pretty sure I called out Snowboarder magazine at the TransWorld Awards because Snowboarder had given me an on deck, and I was like pretty psyched. I was like, yeah, I got recognized in an on deck, but like TransWorld hadn't done anything, and I was like, oh, it's just funny, you know. TransWorld's giving me the award, but they've never done anything with me. So
You
I'm
said
like,
that.
Yeah, kind of in one way or another. I was like, I want to think. I'm like at the podium, like accepting the award, and I don't know if the whole grenade crew at that point, I think, had like come on stage and taken over. So it's like Jana's in her banana costume. There's all the grenade guys running around. I'm like hammered, and I'm like, I want to thank Snowboarder Mag for giving me a check out, like just stuff like that.
And TransWorld's just like, oh,
they're
man.
like, oh, what a fucking bitch. But yeah, and then after that, I don't even remember. It was like such a blur. I'm pretty sure I made out with like 5 people, maybe 10. I don't know. Like my dad's in the bathroom with my award, smoking like a cigar with Sean Palmer. I don't even know. It was like
wow,
crazy.
That's painting a picture
Yeah.
of the night right there.
We partied. There's a mosh pit. I'm like, what was it? God, I was riding for Sessions at the time, and Joel had total brain fart right now. Social Distortion was playing, full mosh pit, Social Distortion, like craziness. Yeah.
Sounds
I heard
like a good
quote
night.
a quote from Lane, and some lady came up to you guys and said that you should be ashamed of yourself.
Really? In Vegas too. Yeah, that's a hard place. It's one thing if
my
that
God.
happens to you in Salt Lake, but in Vegas,
Oh, yeah.
the bar for being ashamed of yourself is much higher.
Yeah. It was great night. Great night.
All right, let's get into some hot takes, huh?
Yeah.
Hot takes are a fun little situation. Okay, we're gonna go MJ, Michael Jordan of snowboarding, both male and female. Who you got?
MJ, Michael Jordan. Oh, man, that's a hard one.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah. Michael Jordan. God, I'm between, just because of like the status. I'm going to say either Travis or Sean White. Travis rides Sean White just because of like household name, across the board, paycheck caliber. For women, probably Jamie Anderson.
That makes sense. We haven't really had anyone call out the woman MJ on here.
Yeah.
I think that's
Okay, next question. Worst trend in snowboarding?
Worst trend in snowboarding. I still see it. It's the pants not going over the boots. You obviously have never been in fresh powder if you're doing that. Definite
pant roll.
no-go.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily improve the style points. Okay, in the lift line, let's. Do you ever hit the beaver slap? You know what's your take on the beaver slap?
I'm beaver slapping, especially this year because of you. I'm like, doesn't like the beaver slap? What? I'm like, I do that I don't do it a lot because I don't ride the resorts that much. But I'm like, now when I'm riding the resorts, I'm like, fucking whack him in that beaver slap. Just because I'm like, you get so much snow on your board, it's heavy. I don't want that thing tagging on my leg.
Every once in a while, you hear that loud one where somebody maybe 10 people behind you really just letting it bark
Like,
back there.
it
what
just
is
echoes
up with that
perfectly.
He must have not landed that last one. Jeez,
Okay,
pissed.
this one's from Sexton. What do you think about the edge drag across the parking lot?
Don't be a baby. Don't be a brat. Pick
Carry
up your
your
board.
board.
Have some respect for your equipment.
Yeah, this stuff's expensive.
Show
right?
some damn respect.
Quit being a brat.
All right.
I do that sometimes, though.
Okay,
Everybody's done it.
Yeah.
biggest inspo.
In snowboarding?
Life.
In life? Weirdly enough, probably Madonna.
Do you,
Besides my mom and dad.
okay, nice little footnote.
Yeah.
Do you sing Madonna karaoke?
You know it.
What's your go-to?
There's too many. Let's see. Some of the more recent ones off of the Confessions on a Dance Floor album. Probably all of those.
Is that an earlier album or a?
It's more recent.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I would say Burnin' Up is an old classic. obviously get into the groove.
Yeah, get into the groove.
Yeah, I'm not a huge like a virgin girl, you know.
Yeah.
Not my thing. Still like it.
That time frame is kind of all I know of Madonna.
Yeah. I mean, she's got
backing
some good newer stuff, but then it's like the most recent stuff is not my fave. But yeah, I get into the Madonna.
She's all into dancing or whatever, huh?
Yeah, and she's not about, you know. I just think Madonna's crazy, you know, like what Madonna was getting crap for back in the day. It's like, look at what Cardi B and like all those girls are doing now. It's
True.
like she's like, what? You guys are giving me shit? Like, look at what these chicks are doing.
Yeah, they're like 20 times past what she ever did.
Yeah, and I feel like she opened the doors for a lot of
musicians,
other
or just
people, guys, girls, gay people. What? Like, just such an advocate for a lot of different people.
Yeah, back in her early
career.
albums, she like had all sorts of gay dancers.
Yeah, she
and
pushed
was
the
very
boundaries.
open about it.
And she was like, don't, you know, sexism, ageism is something that I feel like she's kind of, you know, going with these days. She's like, don't write me off because I'm getting older. Like, it's just this whole thing. So I think there's a lot of things to be taken away from.
Well, that's a fun segue because there is a topic that has come up on this podcast, notably from Reed Smith, who kind of coined the term old head.
Yeah.
And it gets thrown around a lot. What are your thoughts on the word and the usage and the verbiage associated with old head?
I think I need to understand it better. Like I'm trying to not be personally offended by the word old head because I'm like older. I guess I just need to understand it more because I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, yeah, we're older, but like take some lessons, like look around, like learn from people. There's a lot to gain from people that are older than you. Don't just like harp on them because you want what they got.
Well, it's like calling Madonna or an old head in some senses when you don't show, like if in regards to, you know, people that have a lot of merits and stuff like that, in the sense like, you know, what have you done?
That 18-year-old's going to blink and be 25,
That's a great
30,
point as well.
Yeah.
and realize that they're in that position.
Yeah.
And they just don't get it yet, how quick it goes by, but
Yeah.
it'll happen.
You know, there's a lot to, you see that and you see like this old head, like, you know, living on Easy Street, has a house, got paid, doing a thing, but it's like, you don't see what it took to get there.
Yeah, it was a grind.
Yeah, and especially like the old heads now, it's like, dude, like we had to do contests. Like it wasn't a choice for me to do contests. It's like that's what I had to do to get the notoriety to even get into the backcountry. Like sponsors were like, no, you're going to this contest and you're doing this and this and this, and it's like I was lucky that I did well in contests. So it's
So
like,
sponsors would like dictate to you what you needed to do?
oh yeah, and it was like I mean the contests were fun, but it's like once I kind of got a taste for backcountry, it's like I always wanted to do the filming. Like that's what got me interested in snowboarding. But contests were the route that I had to take to get to go into the backcountry.
Yeah, you couldn't just step in there with the support you needed.
Yeah. It's like I wasn't filming myself. Like you have to play a game and you had to get through certain levels, like, you know, snowmobile level unlocked. Like you could buy a fucking snowmobile because I won a contest. So it's just like, there's just all these things that I think people forget. Like we're quick to forget like what it used to be like.
And what it took to get to where.
Yeah, how people got to where they are now. And I just am like, dude, you want that? Like there's a lot of lessons and a lot of knowledge to learn from those people. So listen up and pay attention.
Yeah, they want to just wake up and have it, huh?
Yeah.
You know, that's an incredible point you made. And I was thinking about old head by definition. Generally, the term old head is being thrown around by somebody that's probably 17, 18, 19 years old. Probably anybody over the age of 24 is probably an old head by definition.
Yeah, realistically.
And that's what I want to know. I'm all, what is an old head?
Yeah.
Is it like
someone needs to outline this?
Yeah, is it your
or is it a frame
thought?
of mind? Maybe
Yeah,
I don't
frame
know.
of mind. Is it like an age cutoff? What is? I don't know. Like,
I mean, I'm an old head. There's no way around it. But I like to think mentally, I'm still living like a young kid. I guess.
Actually, our maturity level is that of a 12-year-old.
Yeah,
we're
that's
like
what I'm saying.
prepubescent on the.
You guys got a little bit of both kind of mingling. It's great.
No, you were talking about contests. What if we were to outline your best year, Cheddar Biscuits wise? What are we talking here?
It's a great question.
Man, yeah. I mean, there was some good years back there for sure. All in all, with contracts and prize money and everything, I would say I was around 200 grand.
Woo!
Which was a good year.
That's a damn good year.
And that's like at the top of my game. That's what I'm getting paid as a female.
And that was everything, including royalties, and
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was great. And that was
something to be proud of, right?
short-lived. You know, that wasn't like a long
it's hard to
time.
stay on the contest top level for.
Yeah. Like if you're doing well in contests, you can make a ton. And it's like the contracts for me, I feel like I've always had good companies and good sponsors. Like thankfully I had an agent. Shout out to Cersei Wallace.
Oh, nice.
Because I would not have been able to get those contracts on my own. I'm kind of like, you want to give me like this much? Okay, cool. Sounds great.
Sounds great. I'm down.
I'm not a good negotiator for
Cersei
myself.
just went in like a shark and handled business
she's
for
a
you.
boss. She's a boss. I'm like,
She is a boss.
she scared me. I was like intimidated. You're my agent, but I'm scared of you.
That's tight that you had someone like that then.
Yeah.
And if you didn't do these contests, you think it would have been harder?
Oh yeah.
It wouldn't have happened maybe.
No, I'm like, I made all those like connections and, you know, I learned so much in contests and like, you know, you learn how to land in crap conditions and you learn how to like, it's not the greatest for progression, but you learn how to like put stuff together and to do what you need to do in that moment. So I think that was, you know, I learned a lot from that. And I made a lot of like awesome friends. Like Travis and I would travel all around to the contest. And then it's like when we had time in between, it would be like, yo, come up to Jackson and come in the backcountry. And I'd be like, okay.
I'm down.
And then it would just be,
Travis Rice is who you're talking about for the
Travis Rice.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'd be like, sweet. Like just go check out Jackson and do all these other different things. Like the first time I was ever like out sledding would be, I literally was on the back of Travis's snowmobile holding on to him for my life as we're like rooping up some gully. And I'm like, we're going to die. Like Travis has a helmet on.
He's
I'm
like, just hold
sitting
on.
on the back all, ah! Like I was just being brought to places I had no business going to, but it raised the level and made it, you know, when you go back to normal stuff, you're like, oh, this is chill. Okay. I can handle this.
That's so true.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. Contest snowboarding, you have to be good. You have to be really fucking good, period. That's it.
Consistent.
And consistent. And you got to be able to put it down in any condition. And that's the type of shit where it's like, it's not as negotiable as like, well, I deserve this or I deserve that. It's like, I won all the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I like that type of mentality. Not that I did that.
It's hard and it's not the most enjoyable, you know, like it's not conducive to progressing. It's like, that's what kind of, I feel like I was stifled because it's like, great. Okay. I'm winning these contests, but it's with back fives and front threes. It's like, there's no room to like try new stuff. You just have to land or it's like, okay, sorry.
Mm-hmm. One thing I bookmarked earlier was the agent talk. Now, what are the pros and cons of having an agent, and what are your thoughts on agents in the industry?
I mean, I think for me, having an agent was a definite pro. Like I was just so like wide-eyed and freaking woohoo! Like you're gonna give me free stuff. Like it was really nice to have Cersei there to be like, no, this is your value. Like we can do this. It's not asking too much, you know. Like she was there to be in my corner to kind of like look out for me, make sure I wasn't going to be taken advantage of. And I think that that's a huge pro for me. But at the same time, I think having an agent now, I'm interested to know what having an agent is like now. Cause I'm like, there's not a lot of contracts out there. Like the money's kind of drying up. Like when I was doing a lot of stuff with companies and contracts, it was like, I was so grateful to have her because she went to bat for me. But now it's like, is your agent kind of just your reality check to be like, yo, like you should be happy with this, take it. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like the age of the agent has kind of passed. Like everybody had an agent for a while there. And now it's like, there's probably a handful of people that really could benefit from agents.
Yeah. Like these top contest kids like Red needs an agent, obviously.
Yeah. And it's like that is appropriate. but then it's like, not everybody needs an agent. Like it's kind of gone back to more like your personal relationships with your team managers and sponsors, and like it's just kind of the ebb and flow.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, it is time for a fan favorite of the show. Buds, do you know what we're talking about right now?
I think it's Name That Video part.
That is correct, Buds. All right, here we go. Name That Video part is presented by the Do Tour. Now, Hana, how confident are you feeling 0 through 10?
Like a 2.
2. Okay.
A certain era, I'll be good. But then after like 2005, I'll probably be not good.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll find out right now.
We will.
Here we go.
I want to say it's Danny, but I'm not sure what video. It might be. Is it the Boned Age? No. Is it full? It's not Full Metal Edges.
Yes, it is.
It is. Fuck. Okay.
That 2 confidence level earned you
Dude.
a little cooler.
Nice.
All over bomb hole print with some bomb hole sweatpants,
Bud Diesel.
bomb hole mug, bomb hole Stony Buds air freshener.
Look at all that.
And-
I'm stoked.
And yeah, all of this stuff available at bombhole.com. By the time this episode comes out, I think we'll have new mugs finally. We've been lagging on those. So
That's awesome. Thank you guys.
okay, let's get into part 2 of Name That Video part. And this is for the listener viewers. If you know the answer, comment on the photo of Hana on our Instagram, and that will enter you to win a little sticker pack. Here we go. It's a very misty song.
Is that even a song?
It's a song. It's a female. It's actually a prolific female video part.
Is it?
Leave it there. Okay. I want to say thank you guys for playing. Name That Video part.
It wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. I'm like, so nervous.
Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Okay, Hana, I want to get into a little subject of mispronunciation of your name. What percentage of people call you Hannah?
Probably like a good 72%.
72.
Yeah. A lot of people
If they haven't
say
met you
Hana.
in person,
Yeah.
it would be hard to
I mean, how do you know, right?
Yeah.
Hana, Hannah, we spell it all different ways.
spelled the same, right?
Yeah, same, different. So it's like
There
I
should
don't.
be like some sort of symbol over an A that
I
that
thought
lets you
about
know,
that
you know,
when I
like
was
an
a teenager.
umlaut
I
or
was like,
something.
how do I put like some? Is it a dot or is it lines?
You should have created something back then.
Then everybody would have been like, "Oh, she's Swedish. What's up?" Yeah. How do you fault people for not knowing? I'm like, I can tell who really knows me by who calls me Hana versus Hannah. So it's like,
And people might slip here and there too, but maybe not. I don't know.
yeah, people slip, but it's fine. It's like I know, there's Hannah Eddie, there's Hannah Teeter. It's like,
Yeah.
I call people their wrong names. I
Yeah,
pronounce
it
people's
happens.
names all the time, so I don't take it personal. My friends correct people more than I correct people.
Okay, well, let's get into some dope topics here.
Dope topics.
We're going to put this
Coming
under
on
the
a
category of
Topic.
dope topic.
It's a new segment,
Yeah,
huh?
you need a new sound effect.
Dope.
We'll go, dope topics. Okay.
Cash money at the register.
So you've you've seen a lot in snowboarding. You've won everything there is to win for the most part. Especially, women's snowboarding specifically, it's changed a lot from the grenade eras to now. What would you say, how would you say it's changed, and for better or worse?
For women specific, definitely better. I can say 100% better. I feel like the level has gone up so much just in the last 5 years, cuckoo stuff that I was like, oh, one day if I could only do that. It's like these girls are doing it like nothing. So I'm like, the riding for sure has gotten better. I feel like just the sheer number of women involved in snowboarding, not necessarily like professional snowboarders, but just the amount of women snowboarding is amazing. Like half the time there's more girls than dudes whenever I'm out now. I think within the industry, it's gotten better, but we still struggle with like that tokenism of like, oh, one girl per team. Like there still is that, but I think it's getting better. We're just in a weird situation in general with snowboarding. It's like budgets are cut. Like it's just a delicate dance. So I like that the girls have like been banding together and being more supportive. Like it always has kind of been supportive within the industry, like the females within the industry, but there's always been that like undertone of competitiveness. Like you really love the people you're surrounded with and like the women, but there's like this competitiveness that you all know is there because there's a limited spot on each team and you're like, oh, I got to keep my spot, like, and I'm beating out my like best friend for these resources. So I like that it's like expanding a little bit, but there's still room for growth for sure. I mean, I feel like the women, we've always been there and we've always had to kind of make our place. Like you get invited to do like a trip or two with the guys crew here, or this film crew. It's like you get a little taste of it here and there, but it's like when the women have really gotten a lot done, we do it for ourselves. It's like I look back at some of the earlier projects that I was aware of, like Tiffany Jones and Sky made a movie way back in the day called like Hardly Angels. I don't know if anybody's even really heard of that, but that was like kind of the first all-female movie. And that was really cool. It didn't get like a ton of traction, I don't think, but I remember that. And then I remember like, you know, Amber Stackhouse and Fabia putting together Mischief films and like getting the girls together for that. And that was cool. Like I think I was still filming with Grenade that year, but I was like, oh, the girls are doing a project? Like I want to be a part of that. Like I was bummed I wasn't a part of As If, because that was a sweet movie. And it was just rad to have like all those chicks together in a flick. And then it was like, I started filming with them the next year. And it's like, we did a couple years of Mischief. And then those girls kind of wrapped up and Runway Films started. And that was like a bunch of the girls getting together to kind of fill in that spot that was left open. And that created some amazing stuff. And then it was like, you kind of get, and then it's like, you're like, we think we prove ourselves, you know, like, look, we made this film, like we did all this cool stuff. And then you're like, cool. Like you get a little invite to like a dude's project. And then it's never really satisfying. You're kind of like, but I could have done more, you know, like, fuck. Like you get invited on one trip and you're like, okay, great. Like at these 3 shots I have in the film, it's like, we can do better than that. So it's just, it's getting better. Like with Full Moon, I feel like Leanne really did an amazing job with like getting that crew together, and like especially with, you know, Jetpack and Peep Show and like all the other, like there's so many girls projects, but it's like I feel like we keep having to like prove ourselves like over and over, and it's like if we don't create our own opportunity, there's never really like an opportunity that the girls are fully involved in. And I think now we're just starting to see that actually kind of turn a page and be like, cool, there's like a couple of girls involved in this project and a couple girls involved in this project. But it's, you know, the landscape's changed over the years, so it's hard to say.
What would you prefer to see? Mixed projects like that, or an all woman and all male? Like, what do you like better?
I mean, I like the all women's projects because I feel like that creates something that's super unique.
Yeah.
And it's very authentic to like what the girls are doing and what they want to do, you know? Like there's no like male influence, because once you involve guys in a crew or a project, it kind of automatically gets taken by the guys. You know? It's like I've been on projects where I'm like, okay, cool, like we're out here and it's like I can fucking sled and do this shit better than the dudes, but I'm being dictated what I can do. So it's just like, it's hard.
Yeah, that's harsh.
But it's like I love riding with guys. Like I want to ride with the guys because the guys ride at a certain level that I want to be at. And it's like, it's not necessarily guys versus girls. It's like, I just want to ride with people that are at the level and want to ride the stuff that I want to ride.
Yeah, and it's going to push you as well. And
It's hard to find those right guys to do that with. Too.
Exactly,
That,
because
yeah,
the dudes don't want to go out with the girls half the time, you know, and it's like a lot of girls don't want to hit the stuff guys want to ride, and like guys don't want to hit the stuff that the girls. It's just like person to person. So it's like that crew vibe is so key. Mm-hmm. It's like you create that energy, and that's what creates like the magic. Mm-hmm. So it's hard, and I like that the girls, like we have the support, like we've got that support to go do our own projects, but also at the same time you're just like with Full Moon, it was a good jump off for a lot of us to go and like do other projects, but it was kind of like, shit, like did this, but it didn't really at the time feel like we gained anything.
Any momentum.
Yeah. You know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, kind of deal.
Well, one thing on this subject I think that's kind of cool is I do feel as though like sexism is there's awareness of it now. People are like, oh damn, yeah, there's some underlying shit that's been happening here, and that's a big, you know, catalyst to change in some ways. But one thing that I do see happening, and I want to pick your brain on, that, you know, maybe I'm getting into the weeds with this, and maybe this isn't my place, but I see with brands, right? They're like, okay, we need to put more women on. That's great, right? But one thing that I see that is kind of annoying is it's like, we need to put more women on, but it's almost coming from a place of fear where they're like, we just need to check the box and like, so we don't get canceled, but we don't actually really give a shit about the women. That's what I see from some brands where I'm like, yeah, we just need to check this box and get this whatever, but they really aren't putting the women on because they're like, I fucking back that chick. They're not like, oh, this chick's dope. We're just, and that is something I see a problem with. Where do you ever feel that way at times, or am I in the wrong?
No, I feel like there's an element of that. Like, I think that there's enough good women out there these days that it's like, if you can't find somebody to be on your team that is good, you're not looking hard enough.
Yeah, you're not looking, right?
But it's like, there's only, you know, there's different levels. There's different feeding levels. There's going to be like the like top end chicks that are like, okay, sweet. And then it's like, you can't elevate everybody to that level. Like there's all different levels of riders. And I feel like, you know, if you want to have a girl on your team, yeah, you should have a girl on the team. Have a couple. Like, if that's who you are selling product to, you should have those people on your team. And it's like, yeah, maybe you can't promote them or you can't do like all this crazy stuff for them, but you should be trying to like help them as much as you can. But I feel like, yeah, the just putting the girls on the team just to have a name on the team. So you're like, cool, like it looks like we have a girl on the team, but then you don't utilize her. Like, we want to be used. Like, I want to work. I want to be used. I want to be doing what you need me to do to help the brand do what the brand needs to do. So it's like, I just feel like you have the opportunity, but some people don't always use that opportunity.
Agreed. And with COVID, budgets are all jacked, so it's like makes it even harder, huh?
Yeah, but it's like, look at us. Like, people are doing all kinds of stuff for nothing. Like, true. Instagram influencers, they're like, oh my God, yeah, give me a free snowboard. I'll put up all the photos.
Yeah.
Like, people want to be used. They want to feel appreciated. And it's like, it doesn't take a lot of money to make somebody feel appreciated and to feel valued.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big thing. Like, obviously money's good. Like, people need to get paid so they can snowboard and live and like do what they need to do. But it's like, you'd be surprised at what people will do if they feel valued.
Yeah.
Yeah, people will work harder for less if they feel appreciated. 100%.
Yeah. Above and beyond.
And going back to, you know, full circle with this, you know, talk of you being a member of like that grenade crew team, whatever you want to call it, that was authentic. You were a member of the family, the team, whatever you want to say. And that shows. That's authentic. You can see that. And really, if you take a snowboard company, what separates snowboard companies? Snowboards are all the fucking same. Like, there's not really much of a difference between the snowboard. You're buying into the brand image, you're buying into the brand team, and that team, it's not bullshit. You take a bunch of random people and you just put their name on a team list, people see through that bullshit. But when you take a team and you have camaraderie and you bring them together, I bought into Forum because the Forum 8, I was like, damn, these guys like seem like they're all friends, they're all kicking ass, you know?
Yeah.
And it does suck when you have a team, and if you're not male or female, if you're not being included as a member of that team, it's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, and it's like you don't have to be like all one big happy family as a team, but it's like there's different cliques within that team, within that family, and it's like if you pay attention and give energy to those different aspects, it's like not everybody connects with that one portion of the team. Like there's so many different facets to a team. Like it shouldn't just be one thing. It should touch a lot of different people and connect with as many people as possible. And it's like with Grenade, none of us were getting paid. Like everybody did that for 4 or 5 years for nothing, you know? Like we weren't doing it because we were getting paid. We did it because it was something special, and it was a team, and we were friends. And it's just something like that just goes to show you.
Yeah, you were having the time of your life.
Yeah, and look at what it did. It like created this amazing thing. And it's like nobody was doing that because of the money.
Yeah.
We were being exploited, you know? Like we must exploit. Like it's like literally like the Grenade tagline. Like it's just
Matt
funny.
and Danny knew what they were doing, or more so Matt at that time, probably.
Mad geniuses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've kind of along the way mentored a few women as well, correct?
Yeah. It kind of naturally just happens, you know? You get older and you get more experience, and you kind of just want to share that with the people that want to know it. And I've had the opportunity to, you know, go out with Elena, and like even Jamie Anderson came out with us for a few years with Runway, and then Full Moon. It's like putting Jamie like in between my arms on the snowmobile and going up S-chute. We're like, woo, hold on. Like just getting people out there. It's like
you
exciting.
would put her in the front?
Yeah, I had her sitting like little squirrel style.
Instead of on the back.
Yeah. And we'd just be like, okay,
Is
like
that
spring
how
shoot.
women double?
I mean, not now.
Not
but
now,
it's
squirrel.
like when you have somebody that's never been on a snowmobile
Yeah, you're
before,
like,
you're
I
like, you
got
just
you.
sit there.
Their weight's
and
in
you'd
the middle.
be dead weight.
Oh,
Yeah.
true.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
she would
let
throw
me
you,
handle.
throw you off.
Yeah,
if she
because that
didn't know.
gets sketchy if you have somebody standing there and they're like, go full wonky.
Little squirrel in the
That's
middle. I
death.
like that.
Yeah. But it's fun.
We call that the
It's-
squirrel in the middle technique.
Squirrel in
Actually.
the middle.
just holding on.
And she's just
Are you
stoked
okay
to be
down
up there.
Hold on for dear life. But yeah, it's rad. It's rad to, you know, you get to relive your weird, awkward, like mistakes and learning and all those experiences through them again. It's like you're living vicariously through these girls.
Yeah,
like,
watching them make the same mistakes.
yeah, and you're just kind of laughing. You're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. Like going out with Mary when we were filming for, you know, the Vans project, Listen to the Eyes. It's like, I was just like, oh, Mary, I know it sucks. Like that, it sucks, but you're going to get better. It's going to be okay. Like it's all so much learning experience. And it's like, if I can be there to give a little bit of my knowledge and input to make it a little easier for them, like that's awesome.
Yeah, that's huge.
Because it's a lot of trial and error. And it takes
really is.
a lot of effort and a lot of determination to like push past that.
Well, I want to pivot to another topic here. I have a note about you winning $20,000 at a Vail Big Air.
Yeah.
And
20K?
then allegedly, I should say for legal purposes, you played Monopoly with real money.
Who told you that?
Pat Bridges.
I don't know. Did we? Oh man, we probably did, but I don't know if I
Pat
remember.
has a memory like
He remembers
he remembers everything.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That was
Spacecraft?
a street sweeper.
Yeah.
Street sweepers.
Keeping the
We're in the
streets
streets.
clean.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I bought my home with.
Monopoly
money.
may or may not have happened.
Yeah. I remember because it was at the Sims World Championships.
Oh, and they paid in cash.
Yeah, it was 2 suitcases, 2 Samsonite suitcases.
This
I will
was in
always
Vail?
remember. Yeah.
Samsonite.
Samsonite. I was
was
way
way
off. But like they paid, it was 10 and 15, the slope style and the big air, and I won both. And so on a Sunday, they give me 2 suitcases full of $25,000 cash. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm 19. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just stuff it in my jacket and fly home with all this cash.
And you can't fly with more than 10K, right?
But it wasn't out of the country,
oh,
so that was good.
Domestically is okay.
Yeah, but I'm like flying home, and I have a suitcase like for like, you know, a distraction. Like if somebody's gonna rob me, they're gonna take my suitcase, and it's empty, bitches.
Oh, really? You had an empty suitcase?
Yeah, but all the cash is like in my jacket, and I think I flew home with somebody else. I forget who it was, but I was like, can you carry like 10 grand on you?
Let me slip 10K. I'll give you $100.
Yeah. And so the guy's picking me up in the like old grenade van at the airport, and I'm like, hey, you want to see something cool? And I pull out like all this cash.
Wow.
Because I'm like, I couldn't deposit it. It was a Sunday, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, you can't even go to the bank.
Yeah. And I was just like, I mean, I just flew home with so much money on my person. And then, yeah, we probably played Monopoly with it.
It's like the scene from Wolf of Wall Street when they're trying to fly back from Switzerland. They're taping all the money.
Oh, yes. You should have got the old like Escape from New York style briefcase with the handcuffs.
I
That would've been
feel like
tight.
I didn't have the handcuffs, but when the security guards
they
brought
do
it
like
out,
that,
they
yeah.
had a handcuff
Yeah,
to them, and I was like,
handcuffed to them.
oh my God,
That's
okay.
That's some biscuits right there. When
They
you're
would have had to
talking
take your
handcuffs.
hand to get that 25K.
Yeah, they would have had to. Yeah,
And someone probably would have taken your hand for that 25K.
Absolutely.
if they knew.
Given the chance.
But then they would have had an empty briefcase.
Empty
That's
briefcase,
actually,
suckers.
that's actually a pro tip.
Yeah, that is a pro tip.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of a story back in the day, kind of the empty briefcase scenario. Back in the day, we had a lot of boxes stolen from us, and when I lived with Austin Granger, and one time I shit in a box, and they actually stole it, and it was kind of like the empty briefcase
Dude, that is
scenario.
great.
Yeah, and we got
Should have
them.
pooped in that briefcase.
That's
you
been
could've.
happening up in my neighborhood, and I noticed an email from the neighborhood watch. I suggest that to the Mormons.
Yeah, you do that, and then if you
Shit
put
in
it out
a
there,
box
they
and put
steal
it
it,
out
and then
there.
they get a little karma. So it's good. That
They're
kind
all
of
excited. What is it? What is it?
Something in there.
I call it if it's a
Bouncing
hoodie.
around.
I call it if it's a pair of gloves.
Oh, no, it's a ball of shit, Mom.
Well, this is the perfect time for our next guest question, which is once again presented by Solomon. If you're looking for a split board, head on over to solomonsnowboards.com. Now, this one is from Pat Bridges. Here we go.
Hello, Bombhole. This is Pat Bridges, or as Chris Grenier likes to refer to me, Pat the Brown Eye Bridges. Stoked to have a chance to ask Hana Beaman a question. So, Hana, you and I've met a couple times over the years, but I never had a chance to ask you, of all the people in the world you could have chosen to be your college art class subject, why did you choose me?
Ooh.
All right, stoked to finally get to the bottom of this. I'm a longtime fan, longtime listener of the Bombhole. Can't wait to hear this episode when it comes out. All right, cool. Later.
Yep. So, backstory on this. When I was in Sierra Nevada College, I was in like an art class that I got a D in, apparently. I wasn't good, but I was good. That art teacher sucked. But one of the assignments was to pick a picture and blow it up and distort it, whatever. And I randomly chose a photo of Bridges looking like the Unabomber out of Snowboarder magazine. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Big
photo.
aviators?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the big aviators and
yeah.
everything. I chose that photo and I blew it up to like, 2 by 18, something like that. And it's all like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, like pencil sketch, whatever. And then I didn't even know it was Pat, right? Like I was just like, oh, this looks like a cool photo. Years later, I'm like, oh my God, that was fucking Bridges.
It was before you met him?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is before I met Pat. And I was just like, oh my God, Pat, I did a drawing of you. And I was like, check this out. And I totally like gave it to him eventually. But I was like, that was just such kind of crazy, weird, like destiny,
Yeah.
if you will, that I was just like, now that I know Pat so well, it's like Uncle Pat. And it's just funny that I'm like, oh, I totally did a drawing of you like before we ever met. And like now you're such like a huge figure in my life. Like
synchronicities right there. That's wild.
Yeah.
Lining up like that.
Yeah, it's cool. We should have him send a photo of it.
I remember that photo too of the.
Yeah.
When he was asking that question, what came to mind was maybe you guys needed a live nude artist.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
That's
too.
where I thought that was going.
That would have been awesome.
I was like, did Pat model naked for you?
He's like, it was a hard time. I needed a little extra cash.
I needed that $50.
Shit, maybe I should just change that story to be like that.
That would be great.
Well, his nickname.
And would Pat have done that?
Going back to Pat too, his nickname's Pat the Eye Bridges. So going back to his reference, I started calling Pat the Brown Eye Bridges.
That's awesome. He claimed it on there.
Do we have Patreon questions?
I do.
Let's get into some of those.
I have a Patreon question from Abby Dawson, and this is pertaining to the upcoming season. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite thing about natural selection, and what are you looking forward to most for this year's event? Congrats on making it into the event, and keep ripping.
Thank you, Abby. What I am looking forward to the most is getting to hit those insane features with like hopefully the like nicest fresh POW conditions and spectating.
Watching other
It's going to be so sick to watch everybody else. I'm just going to be like, what? Okay. Hopefully I can live up to.
What's the window for powder? Like, how are they?
I think
That's sketchy.
I think they're doing pretty okay with their snowpack right now.
They're just keeping an area fresh, basically?
Yeah. I don't know when they kind of cordoned it off, if they did it a couple weeks ago or what.
Because there's only 3 days, though, right?
There's a week of a window.
Oh,
the
okay.
3rd to the 9th. And then there's 2 days within that will ride it.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they've been doing some like Abby control on the landings, because last year at the test event we had a couple landings slide, which sucks because then you're like, oh, there goes the fresh
basically.
landings. So they've been doing a little more work on that, and I'm really hoping that they get a good amount of snow right
from now till then.
Yeah.
So when that landing slides, you still got to jump into it, but it's just hard.
I mean, you don't have to.
Yeah.
There's enough features that if like a landing does slide and you're like, oh, that looks not that great, you can change it up and go to like some other feature. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Who you got your money on?
I honestly have no idea. Obviously, Travis probably. It's
Is it
like,
fair if Travis wins? He
I don't
seems
know.
like the.
there's other guys that are going to definitely give him a run for his money. Like,
True.
The guys are so good, and it's like I don't know how the panel narrowed down the field to 16 dudes.
Do you have a strategy going into this?
Riding mini park, and
That's been your warm up?
yeah, that's been my warm up. I'm like just trying to get, knock the dust off of the tricks and feel good, get pretty consistent, and like just getting rotations down and all that, because I haven't even done anything for like 2 years. So I'm like, I just need to be like, okay, back 5, cab 5, switchback, whatever, fucking, I don't know, stuff that I can land in POW and just connect, because it's so different filming as opposed to like doing a contest in powder is going to be like next level hard. Because I'm like, filming, you get a couple tries. You're like stoked if you land it first try or second try, but you don't have to like make it to another jump. Like double lines filming, you're like, those are sweet. If you can get a double line POW film.
That's amazing.
And
how many in a line do you got to get in the natural selection?
It's a pretty long run. It's like a minute long run or some shit.
It's going to be like, depending on how you link it all together, you could have like 5 hits in your run.
Yeah.
And they're not like baby hits.
Yeah,
like,
they're not baby hits.
you could send it. Like there's definitely a couple different like alleys like that you could go down.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get any like runs through it. It's like fresh.
Oh, it's got to be fresh. Huh?
Like you can kind of like go down the sides of the run, and like there's going to be little goat paths to like go to like a viewpoint where you can be like, okay, I can kind of see the takeoff and I can kind of see the landing, and then wiggle through some trees to like the jump that's down there maybe. But I think we're going to have a lot of different drone angles. So there's going to be like 3D virtual reality stuff.
Really check everything out
like,
before you get in there.
Yeah, get a feel for like where you're going to want your line. But it's like, your first run, you're just gonna be like, fuck, I don't know. I think I'm going this way. If you fuck up, maybe you end up here, and then you're like, is that a takeoff? Sure, just gonna hit it. Maybe
That
there's a
sounds
landing.
nerve-wracking.
It's gonna be scary.
Yeah. What's sick though, props for how long you've been in the game to be at the top contest of the season.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's pretty badass.
kind of trippy.
Yeah, it's
I'm
good
like,
for you.
oh my god, is this gonna make me look an asshole? And like, am I gonna?
No, you got
It
am
just depends on the day,
okay?
though. It's like you're
Yeah.
gonna kill it either way, but it's
Yeah.
like everyone has their day, and
I'm trying to have a good show for the ladies. I
women
just hope
snowboarding.
I just hope that all the women ride at a good level, like something we're all capable of.
Yes.
and that we don't look like doofuses out there.
you're not going to. It's a strong crew.
Yeah, everyone's more than capable. So I just hope we all have a good day.
Absolutely. You guys all rip. And going back to what you were talking about before, for the listeners and viewers that are unfamiliar with this type of terrain, a lot of times you look at a face from the bottom, or from, if you're an AK, like a heli, or in this case, you don't have a good vantage point on what you're riding. So when you get to the top, you have this plan of what you're going to hit, but you start riding, things morph. They're a lot different when you're riding down, you're on slope and you're coming up to a big shark fin and you're about to launch off of it, or whatever diving board it is. And all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, this thing is 30 feet taller than I thought it was. And you're rolling down the windows, and next thing you know, you tomahawk. That's why I personally prefer the streets a lot of times, because that's what happens when I do it. But that's just something that I don't think the average listener, viewer really understands. It's not like a park jump that you can like roll up on and look at. Or something.
Yeah, and it's like you get one shot
Yeah.
at the whole thing, and it's like if you tomahawk.
You only get one run,
well, no, you get
2 runs.
It's head to head, so
Yeah.
it's like
Oh, gotcha.
we'll get bracketed off, but it's like one run and then a second run, and if like
In
I guess
head-to-head format.
head to head, so it's like if you get both runs, you win, you move on.
Wow.
So it's like you could get 2 runs and blow it, or
Or kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's a contest, and
Yeah.
that's the crazy thing. It's just like filming and competing are so different. And it's like mad respect for people that do well in contests and can land that crazy stuff, because it is not easy. And like filming, it's like not easy to land in powder either, but at least you have a couple tries.
Yeah. And some people just thrive in that contest scenario where it's
Yeah.
like the pressure. Like
Yeah.
Haley was talking about that when she was here.
Yeah.
Just turning it on, when it's time to turn it on. I think all those contest kids,
Yeah.
they like that moment of pressure.
Yeah. And it'll be really cool because there's, Jamie's in there and she's like a contest killer. And there's one, I don't know if I can say it, but there's one other girl.
By the time this comes out,
Yeah. Well, there's Anna's in there.
Yeah.
So she's a contest killer,
She
obviously.
rips.
So it's going to be really cool to see how those two like transition over into this like powder contest.
it's cool.
They're
I hope
just going to
there's just a
slay,
bunch
and I'm
of
going to be
snow.
like, okay, bye. I'm retiring now. Bye. Or I don't know. It's going to be cool. It's going to be rad to watch.
Okay, before we come off the subject of the natural selection, I've been riding with Nils Mindick, sometimes mispronounces Mud Dick, recently, and he has been training very methodically. He's been riding, and he's a very analytical-minded person. Like, he's got spreadsheets for everything. He's like a math brain guy,
Wow.
and he just won the Freeride World Tour. If you guys don't know, he's been a guest on here, and when you go ride with him, he'll be like, okay, I think the back 180 seatbelt is a great trick. I want to get those down because I don't think very many other people are going to do them. So you'll ride with him. He'll do like 50 back 180 seatbelts so he can do it on anything. And then he'll pick another trick. He's like very methodical about like tricks that he can do and landing. And I don't know if I've ever seen anybody approach snowboarding in such an analytical minded thought process. But anyway, super interesting. I figured I'd share before we come off of that subject. And
Yeah, there's a lot of different people that are going to be like, there's a lot of different brains going into that course. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top
Yeah,
of
who
that
comes
thing.
out on top.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah.
well, you have a couple more
I
Patreon
do.
questions?
So this is from Alexander Crump. And he's asking, what motivated you to enroll in firefighter school? And what skills did you gain what skills that you gained from your professional snowboarding career helped you be successful in that training?
So yeah, I applied for a volunteer fire position this spring, and To be brutally honest, it's because I had no idea what the hell was going to happen this summer. Right?
Really?
I was just
preparing
like,
for anything.
I was like, snowboarding could not be a thing. Like all your sponsors could drop you. Like there's a clause in there that they're like, nope, sorry, natural
force
disaster.
majeure
Natural,
clause.
natural disaster. Is
Yeah.
that,
It's like a pandemic, a natural disaster, like all this stuff. That force majeure clause, it's like you could just be done at any moment. And I was like, oh my God. Basically, it was like what the hell do I do? What's my backup plan? And not that I don't have backup plans. Like I'm a real estate agent too, which has been nice the last few summers. That supplements my snowboard career a bit, but also like what was going to happen with real estate? I don't know.
True.
Like, were we all going to go down in a blazing glory? I have no idea. So I was just like, like walking back from the beach near my house, there's a volunteer fire station. And I was like, oh, okay. It says accepting volunteer applications. And I was like, that could be something something cool. There's some job, job certainty in that field.
Yeah, that's
right
never
now.
going away.
So I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And I threw in an application and I started kind of digging around and asking other people I know who are firefighters what they thought about it. And it just ended up seeming like a really cool thing to get into.
It's pretty badass, right?
Yeah. And I just was like, wow, how have I never really thought about this before? And I guess I'm just really busy to begin with, but I was like, okay, I got plenty of time. This looks like something that's right up my alley. Everybody that I talked to was like, oh, snowboarding is like, you're perfect for this. It's like, the more I started thinking about it and kind of comparing a lot of the things that I've learned in snowboarding, I was like, oh yeah, it's totally tons of parallels. Like we work in small groups. We're in dangerous situations where we have to look out for each other. You have to be situationally aware. You have to be fit. You have to be able to get yourself out of some messed up situations. Like there's just all these different things that it's like you stay calm when it's gnarly. Like a lot of things that I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Like this translates. And then once I kind of started getting into it and doing the academy and all this stuff, I was like, wow, like this is stuff that is really exciting. And it's a little more fulfilling as far as like not being a self-centered little snowboard pro athlete. The medical side of it, like I've taken a few woofer courses in the past and I'm like, oh, it's interesting. Like I want to know more about that. So getting
the
more
layman's,
into,
that's a wilderness.
oh yeah, wilderness first responder. And so it's like a lot of the stuff we've learned and how we operate as professional snowboarders is very, very applicable to like fire. So it was cool, you people person, you deal with people, you deal with weird crews, you're in weird situations. So I just thought that was really neat. And it's proving to be really, really interesting to me.
Did you finish the schooling? And
I did. I finished Firefighter 1 Academy in November, and then we just finished Hazmat right before Christmas. And then because of COVID, we're not doing EMT right now, which is great because I get to go snowboard all winter. And then in the spring, we'll do the EMT portion. But I just actually flew. I flew home to Bellingham the last 3 days to work my first 2 volunteer shifts. So that was cool.
any fires?
No fires, but we got to go on 2 medical calls, which was rad. I just stand there because I'm not an EMT yet.
Yeah.
I just stand there and kind of help and carry around the tools.
So you were on, you're doing this.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, and we were actually doing a drill for like a bumper line, like a hose line that comes off the bumper of the engine. And so I'm all like bunkered up with my like my oxygen, my pack on.
Yeah, the
and
full fire kit.
everything. And we're like getting ready to do this, and all of a sudden they're all boo, 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 and we're like, oh, it's a call. So it's like, I'm like, woohoo, I'm already in my shit. So I just sat in the engine, and the rest of the crew got like bunked up, and we started going. We were just like, wah, wah, like cruising to this car rollover. We got called off because other engines got there
Do they
first.
still slide down fireman poles?
I don't think that's a thing still.
I don't think it's a thing anymore either,
think
but
it's
it
too
should be.
dangerous.
Too dangerous.
But some places I think still have them, but I don't know if they're really used.
Just because they're faster,
As
that
much.
was the deal. They were up in the upper level bunks and they needed to get down.
I don't know. We don't have any fire poles at the stations that we have.
Too dangerous for modern day society.
Break your ankle on the way to saving
True.
somebody. First rule, don't become one of the victims.
Is that
rule number one?
Yeah, don't become a victim when you're going to save people, like save victims.
Great rule.
Smart.
Yeah.
Our gym that we go to that we talk about frequently on here is owned by Paul Roberts, who's a firefighter.
Cool.
And he trains us every day, and it's really cool. You know, it seems like a great profession, and I see him when he comes in off of, like, just hearing him talk about being on a fire.
Yeah.
Like it's like sounds exhilarating. Those guys are badasses when that stuff goes down. So much respect to the firefighters out there. I'm going to give them an air horn.
Air horn to those firefighters.
Now,
so much respect.
And then another thing I wanted to talk about is, you know, a lot of people, be it snowboarders, even recreational, you know, even if you move to Vail and you become a ski bum or whatever, you know, when at a certain point in time, like especially with professionals, they're standing around kind of with their dick in their hands and they're like, what do I do now? My snowboard career's kind of winding down. It seems like you've set yourself up where you got your real estate license a couple of years back for shits and gigs, a quote from Step Brothers, but
Four-fifths commish.
Four-fifths commish. I had to throw that in there. But do you have any like actionable advice for people, you know, to have the foresight for life after boarding?
I guess the only thing I would say is just it could end at any second, and you will be luckily if you make it out with your health. So keep that in mind. I feel like I got into snowboarding professionally being like, I don't know, is this going to last a year or two? And somehow it's lasted 20. But I have always, if you ask my parents, they're always like, what else are you doing? Like, I got my bartender's license like 10 years ago because I was like, I don't know, if I get dropped, I'll have a bartender's license. I can start bartending. Like, I've always had this like insecurity in the back of my head where I'm like, it could end at any moment. And I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, I have a mortgage. I have all this stuff. Like, I have a certain way of life that I enjoy living and I want to maintain that. So how do I do that? And I mean, it's hard because you're just like, well, shit, what's my new passion? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm testing it out. So it's just like, always have that in the back of your head. Be smart.
Smart.
Learn from your elders. Learn from us old heads because we've made
the
lots
old
of
heads.
mistakes and you can avoid a lot of those mistakes.
It is true, and it's funny. The kids just don't listen to the old
Yeah.
heads.
Well, you got to fall on your face. That's the only way.
That's
you
the
know?
only
It's
way.
true.
But going back to, we have a Patreon interview that we do before, and we ask some questions. And one of the questions was kind of like some maybe words to live by, I believe. And you essentially said something along the lines of, if it's, I don't want to do it if I can't make it fun. Or
Yeah.
How did you word that?
I'm like, if you're not enjoying it and if it's not fun, like why are you doing it? What's the purpose? And not that it's like every day is going to be like, woohoo, rainbows and butterflies and like you're laughing the whole time. Like there's a lot of hard work involved, but you still enjoy it. Like you still get joy out of it. And that's what I feel like I've constantly had to ask myself, like with snowboarding. It's like it gets to a point where like this isn't fun anymore and you have to like figure out what to change to make it stay fun.
Yeah, keep it fun.
Keep it fun because it's like if you're not having fun, what's the fucking point? Like life's short. Like enjoy it. If you don't like this, go find something else you want to do that's going to be fulfilling and make you smile at the end of the day. So I don't know. I feel like I'm always like, I'm following the fun, but it's like, I feel like I work hard and I feel like if I'm not enjoying it, I don't want to be doing it, but I enjoy working hard. So I don't know.
It's great advice.
Yeah.
It's great. And me and Buds have these conversations too. It's like, I don't want to do this shit if it's not fun. We catch ourselves like not having fun doing it. It's like, that's the minute we're going to stop doing this.
Yeah.
That's the minute we're going to, you know, even doing concrete or manual labor,
There's fun.
There's fun in the banter. There's
Yeah.
fun, but the people that aren't having fun, they're not making it fun. And some things do just suck, dude. Maybe you're cleaning up fucking porta potties and you smell like diarrhea. It's going to be hard to make that fun. But like, no offense to anybody if they do that, respect. It's a job that needs to be done. But what I'm saying is like, yeah, the minute it stops becoming fun or you start hating it, well, then find something that fills your bucket, like you said. I think I love hearing that.
And there's always fun to be had, and there's always going to be some parts that aren't fun, but it is what it is. Find the fun.
It's your mindset.
Good advice.
Yeah, it's totally your mindset. And it's like, if you can't trick yourself into having fun, then
That's what it is. You
figure
got to
something else
sometimes
out.
trick yourself into having fun.
Yeah.
So I got one more Patreon question for you. This one's a little bit interesting. We'll see how it goes. It's from Trevor J. Lepec. I have a two-part question. What was it like digging up a giant rat mummy during a home restoration project? Second question, where is the rat mummy now? And what was Geoff's reaction to the mummy?
How does he know about the rat mummy?
So he tells me. He says questions. These weird questions were curated by our mutual friend Sean Derby.
Oh, Sean, that's an ex-boyfriend of mine. So he was with me when we excavated the rat mummy.
What is a rat mummy?
Yeah.
It's literally
Like sarcophagus style wrapped up rat? Is that what we're talking?
Sarcophagus.
it was like this.
It was. Really?
It was
the
like
King Tut of
have like
mummies?
gold flask by its feet.
yeah.
Just holding
I actually,
like a gold staff.
I actually found a whole treasure with it, but don't tell anybody. Wink, wink. No, I renovated this house. I bought this old house, and it was pretty funky. And when we were ripping off the whole ceiling, it was like there was mouse bodies just falling on us.
Really?
It was like we were in our Tyvek suits and like respirators and goggles, just ripping all this stuff out of the ceiling. And a lot of little mouse bodies, but there was one big rat body that had like basically not been wrapped mummified, but like was dry and just like
I've seen them when they're like that, and it's harsh.
and I was just like, oh, ugh.
They like turn into a preserved leather almost.
Yeah. And I was just like, fuck, at least there wasn't like a ton of those. It was just like the little mouse babies and one rat king lording over all of them in the attic.
Have you heard of what a rat king is? It's a real thing.
What? Isn't Rat King, isn't that?
A rat king is
No.
when all the rats in a major infestation, they get so dirty and gnarly that all their tails fuse together.
No.
Yeah, this is a real thing. You look it up online. It's the most craziest thing you'll
That's
ever see in your
gnarly.
life. Literally 100 rats with their tails fused together, and they all die together. And
does that even happen?
that's called a rat king.
Is that like a conspiracy theory or real?
Oh, dude.
So
There are
how
photos.
how did the tails get together? That
Yeah.
What
Filth
filth?
and grime.
We're going to need to put a link to that
Oh,
on the
dude.
page.
It's one of the scariest things you'll ever see in your life.
Buds is just a wealth of information. He always has information like this. One thing I want to circle back around. Did you say sarcophagus earlier? I'm unfamiliar with that verbiage. I don't know.
Sarcophagus?
Yeah, what does that mean?
That is in Egypt where they put the mummies. It holds the mummies. It's
Okay,
a sarcophagus.
That's what it is? Okay.
It's that box.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the, okay. That was
It's
unfamiliar.
sarcophagus.
I'm learning a lot. This is a great episode for my
The mummies
knowledge.
are found in the. It's not a coffin though, because it's like a holy thing. You know
Okay.
what they were put in,
Copy. Good.
and it's supposed to like keep their soul, bring them to the afterlife.
Yeah.
This is an informative episode so far.
Sarcophagus, dog.
That's how I have for myself to be buried in my will.
Yeah.
Sarcophagus.
That's a good call right there.
I've actually been requested to be mummified myself as well.
I've actually requested. My wife knows this, that I want to be what's it called when you're cremated
Oh, yeah.
and spread over the 7 continents.
That's a great way.
My wife needs to go on a mission, dedicate
Tour.
her life to this mission.
Aw.
And Antarctica is going to be a tough go,
But it'll be worth it.
but yeah, it'll be worth it. We'll see if she gets it done.
yeah.
One other thing we got to get into before we get out here is Wild Mike's Pizza.
Listen, we need to talk about Wild Mike's. The fact is, they are a sponsor, and you signed a contract guaranteeing them certain concessions, one of them being spot on the show.
Well, that's where I see things just a little differently. Contract or no, I will not bow to any sponsor.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but basically, it's the nature of the beast.
Maybe I'm wrong on this one, but for me, the beast doesn't include selling out. Stoney, you know what I'm talking about, right?
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
I can't talk about it anymore. It's giving me a headache.
Here, drink one of these.
The bomb hole. Banter. Edgy. Cheddar biscuits.
Look, you can stay here in the big leagues and play by their rules, or you can go back to the farm club. It's your choice.
Yes, and it's the choice of a bomb hole generation.
So, yeah, before we get out of here, what's next for Hana?
I mean, immediately I'm going to boogie on up to Natural Selection up in Jackson Hole. And then after that, depending on how that goes, I'd really love to get out filming this year. I feel like the last 2 years I've been kind of skunked on the filming. So I'm like really looking forward to just some long days in the backcountry out sledding and hopefully putting together, a somewhat decent little video part for the year. After that, I'm going to be doing some real estate this summer and getting into firefighting a bit more and just kind of, keeping the stoke high for next winter. I feel like that stuff keeps everything pretty realistic. So it keeps me really grateful to be able to get out here and play and snowboard. And I mean, I don't have any plans to stop snowboarding. So just going to keep doing that as long as I can. And I got a couple more things I want to check off on my list before I'm done.
Now, I have a question. Now, sponsors or not, some people like the sponsors, just like that stops happening and people just hang up the board.
True.
That's not you, right?
No. I feel like I'll probably take a minute to like decompress, but I mean, I'm always going to be snowboarding. Like I'll always be out doing 30-degree slashes with the other old heads. But I mean, that's why I kind of am doing this other stuff, because even if the money dries up with contracts, it's like I still want to be able to have the somewhat of a lifestyle that I can still go out and snowboard and do what I want. So that's kind of the game plan.
That's
beautiful.
dope, though.
Yeah.
We forgot to talk about this. Your setup. Our audience, they love learning about people's setups. And do you do anything quirky with your bindings? What board are you riding? Bindings, all that stuff.
So this behind me is the new Zero, Ride Snowboard Zero. So it's a gender neutral board that is super fun. I've been riding this in Mammoth, and it's been really fun to get back on like a twin park board. Just super playful and awesome. I think Jill's riding this one too. And then I just run everything pretty stock. I don't do too much to mess with the board and bindings and all that stuff. And these are the new are these the 6s? The CCL, these are the AL6s, so the new Ride aluminum chassis bindings. But I also got, my normal setup is the Psycho Candy with some C bindings, the composite bindings that Ride just put out, and everything's awesome. Like the Psycho Candy is just a really good all-around mountain POW Slayer board. And I think they're making it in some bigger sizes this next year, so it's male friendly.
What about stance width and angles?
Stance, I run about a 22.5, and angles are anywhere from -6 to 0 on my back foot, depending on what I'm riding, and usually around a +12 to 15 on the front.
You change it for different aspects of riding, huh?
Yeah. Like for this, I got a -6 and a +12 for park, because I'm doing a lot more like, I don't know, switch stuff and whatever. Yeah. And then for POW riding, if I take like the war peg out, if it's just a deep POW day, I mean, I'll do like a 0 and a +15 or something like that.
People love that war pig, huh?
It is so great. And they just released a split pig.
Split pig.
Which has changed my world.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's been fun.
Split the old pig.
Yeah.
Well, where can people find you on social and all that stuff?
I am on the Instagram at High Beams. I go back and forth between changing my name just to Hana Beaman or keeping it High Beams. I feel like I got to keep it High Beams.
High Beams is pretty tight.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm there. I'm on the fucking Facebook, even though I don't really want to be, Instagram, main one. Twitter,
no
I
TikTok?
barely use. I lurk on TikTok. I will lurk heavy on
you
TikTok.
That's where she gets her karaoke inspo?
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll do some karaoke on TikTok, but I more like just watch.
Yeah, TikTok is entertaining, to say the least.
Nervous to do a post. I feel like I'm like, oh, there's so much pressure.
There is. It seems like, you got to be on top of your game.
Yeah.
People are posting some high-quality stuff on there.
Yeah.
Putting some time into it. I don't know if you ever lurk on there, but
I don't have an account, no.
My wife, I don't have an account either. My wife just shows me. There's like, you can find anything on there.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Put in a topic and you go on these wormholes and you're just like, wow.
I know. I have to put a timer on mine so I don't spend more than like 20 minutes on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just get locked in.
Yeah.
Like my wife does.
Okay, so before we get out of here, we were kind of talking about Bill Nye, and in regards to that, you had a quote we should maybe leave the people with.
Yeah, I think I listen to, Bill Nye's podcast in the mornings when I'm doing my warm-ups and stretching, and there's a guest on his show that always, it's part of the intro that she says this, and it always rings really true for me, and I feel like it's really true with snowboarding and with anything in life, and it's that success equals your effort times your skill. So it's like, if you want to be successful, you have to put in all this effort and you have to have skill. And when that gets combined together, it's like, that's when you have success. So that's just something that I'm like, yeah, it's not just luck. It's not just talent. It's not just all these things. It's like the two of those together really equal success.
Effort plus skill.
Yeah.
I love it.
I like it.
Yeah, it's perfect. Well, we want to say thank you for coming on the show. We want to say thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next week from the Bomb Hole. Over and out.
Thank you so much for having me.